All right, without further ado, let's bring her in. We already teased her. Aly Wagner, the great Aly Wagner. Mosse, you're happy. I'm happy. We're all happy. There she is. Parts unknown. Looks like a tropical paradise. She's got the big hoops in. She's got that wonderful smile. Welcome back, Aly Wagner, to the State of the Union podcast. How you doing? First off, where are you?
Well, no, first off, I mean, I don't just leave my vacation for anyone. So I want you to know when you come calling, I'm here for you. I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, okay. Well, listen, if anybody deserves a vacation, it is you. And before we get into the U.S. Women's National Team and a lot of the stuff that we're going to talk to you, congratulations are in order. For those that haven't heard, Aly Wagner, along with Brandy Chastain and Leslie Osborne and Danielle Slayton, women that we know and love, especially when it comes to our Fox family, and Sixth Street, which is the money, have gotten together after a whole lot of work, and they were awarded a expansion NWSL team. So first off, congratulations to you and everybody that I just mentioned. In big picture, and I know you're decompressing from all of this, but there's still plenty of work to do. Just give the folks a little idea of what the last few years have been like for you to come just to this moment.
I that would take more than a few words. It's been an arduous but incredibly rewarding journey, I will tell you. Pretty much usurped my life, and minus, of course, a World Cup sprinkled in there in Qatar. I would just say a lot of my focus and our group's focus was on making sure that we were able to bring the NWSL team to the Bay Area. And more than that, Lex and Mosse, we knew that we needed the right partnership, and we needed something special in order to kind of see out what we hope to be, come to reality, what our vision is. And that was the partnership with Sixth Street. So you said it, this is a group that has incredible resources. They're going to back us, back the vision, and hopefully do something really special in women's football. Starts in the Bay Area, of course, but we have global aspirations. And so the last 2.5 years, it's been focused on making sure, we get the bid, but now it's a sprint to stand up the company. And so we're ready to come kick a ball 2024. And by the way, you guys got to get one of these.
Ooh, swag.
Wait. I got it. There we go.
There we go. Looking good.
Aly, it is pretty shameless the way you're traveling around, going to cool games under the guise of research. Did I see you palling around with Pep Guardiola at the Barcelona-Real Madrid game recently?
I cannot deny such allegations, but he wanted to come up and get my autograph and take a picture with me. What do you do, Mosse? You say no? Yeah, we're doing something special. So we've got to make sure that we're doing the due diligence, the research to get this right from day one. We're gonna make mistakes, but I really do believe in learning best practices, and there's no better place to go than Spain and learn from some of the things that obviously Barcelona, Real have done. And as you know, Sixth Street, they're investors in both of those clubs, long-term investors at that. So it's a great relationship and something that we like, or that it was enjoyable to go experience. That was my first time, by the way, to El Clasico and in Spain for football.
All right, well, listen, this is wonderful for the Bay Area, like you said. It's wonderful for NWSL. It's wonderful for women's soccer. It's wonderful for soccer in the United States. So congratulations to that. Last question on this before we move on. Listen, this is the third team now in California, and you got the neighbors, the noisy neighbors down south. Now, it's just you four and Sixth Street. Now, we know that when it comes to Angel City, anybody evidently that has a $20 bill is an owner down there, okay? Is this going to be limited in terms of the ownership? Are we going to see your face and your image when it comes to ownership, or can Mosse and myself become involved?
Well, I mean, let's take that offline, okay, Lex? We don't divulge all of our secrets, but the reality is we've been really selective and strategic in our partnerships, and that was something that was important to us from day one, and how we built out this organization, obviously starting over 2.5 years ago. So strategic relationships, strategic partnerships, and people that want to lean in. And look, I'm all for people celebrating the game and enjoying the game, embracing the game, and showing up and being that massive supporter. But we also want people to lean in and have some skin in the game and really start to drive what we hope to be, what this vision is supposed to look like when we start playing in 2024.
All right, let's get into some stuff here when it comes to the U.S. Women's National Team and the work, the job that you have to do come this summer. We just come off of these 2 games against Ireland. Not particularly impressive, and I'm going to ask you about specific players as we go on. But in general and big picture type, how do you think, we're recording this on Wednesday, April 12th, 2023, how do you think the U.S. Women's National Team is set up as we get closer and closer? We're less than 100 days now before the World Cup in Australia and New Zealand.
Look, I mean, big loss, right, with Mallory Swanson going down. I think that's more so than any of the performance that comes out of those 2 games. I think that was probably the headline that everyone walked out of the 2 friendlies against Ireland with. And look, she's our leading goal scorer, our leading assist in this calendar year. So that's a big loss for the U.S. Having said that, I do think that one of the areas we're incredibly strong in is in attacking talent, attacking prowess. So hopefully we're going to have some players step up and fill those shoes. Trinity Rodman got quality minutes. You saw the young Alyssa Thompson from Angel City. She had some good minutes. So I think when you look at this team, though, there's other important steps that were made. Julie Ertz coming back into the fold. You have some Kelly O'Hara got minutes as well. Casey Kruger. So you had some of these veterans that came back in, got minutes. You know, is Ireland a top 10 team in the world? No. So what did we really learn? You know, that's always everything that we talk about in terms of performance tactics has to be viewed through that lens, and that Ireland is not necessarily a Germany and England. But, you know, there's positives on that you're getting some of those players back. I think that we didn't put them away, that we didn't score multiple goals. You know, I think that's one of the issues for the U.S. But as we know, we usually ramp up as we head into a World Cup, and that final piece in the attacking third seems to come later than earlier. And I think, you know, you've gotten a good look at least the center back potential or partnerships. Tierna Davidson coming back into the fold. I really do think that Naomi Girma is the future there. The partnership, you know, whether it's to be seen, whether it's Becky Sauerbrunn, whether it's Alana Cook, but there's optionality. And as I've learned as I'm building out a business and as it relates to football, optionality is value. And I think that's something that the United States walked out of these 2 friendlies taking in their back pocket and can build upon as the end of the World Cup. So then we could talk about, let's compare them to some of the other squads that we saw play in the international window.
Aly, Alexi and I had this chat after the first Ireland game, and I think it certainly applies after the second one as well. This U.S. team is leaving people cold because they're not dominating opponents the way they used to. But is that because people have an outdated view of women's soccer and they still assume that when the U.S. plays anybody that's not one of the handful of elite teams, they should dominate? But maybe we have to adjust to the fact that now playing the 20-something ranked team in the world is actually a much tougher game than it used to be.
Yeah, I think you're spot on that, Reed, that it's an outdated view. And we've always talked about how quickly the women's game has accelerated in terms of the competition. Talked about it, I think I was on the show back when they were in qualifying, and we were talking about how the rest of the world was catching up. Well, I think Ireland is a perfect example of that. It is more competitive. Now, that doesn't mean that you're not going to still have routes in the women's game. It doesn't mean that on a day where everything is clicking, the United States couldn't dominate this Ireland team 4-0, 5-0. I just think the reality is that the consistency of that type of domination and scoreline, we're not going to see that anymore. It's going to be one-offs. It's not the norm. It's going to be the outlier. And I think that is a fair statement. The rest of the U.S. has to wrap their head around the idea that this team is going to have to grind through some of these games to get results. And you saw it against Ireland. Now, I hope the team steps up heading into the World Cup, but the reality is much tougher competition. And that's a good thing because we like good games. We like quality opponents. That drives viewership. That drives interest. That drives passion and connection.
All right, so whether this team is grinding out results or just blowing through the opposition, we know that this World Cup is going to be unique. A couple of months ago when you were on, we talked about the usual suspects out there that are going to give the U.S. problems. We know this is going to be 32 teams. There are going to be plenty of new players and obviously teams in this World Cup. Give me still at this point, again, as we get closer and closer, give me your 3 teams that stand in the way of the U.S. Making history in this unprecedented moment to be able to win 3 World Cups in a row, nothing that has ever been done from a men's or women's side.
Just 3?
Yeah, just give me 3.
Just 3.
Or give me 5. If you want to give me 5, give me 5.
I was going to say, this goes to your point and your question. Before, I would have just said there was 3 teams. There was 2 teams. There's one team that could stop the United States. I actually think I could put them on, I would say 5 or 6. I'd go so far as to say 7 if you had a dark horse upset. But I think you got to go with the Euro champs, England, although they just were defeated by Australia 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
I still think that they're hard. They're quality on the pitch. They've got an incredible manager in Sarina Wiegman. I think they're set up really well to do well against United States. They too have suffered some injuries, so we'll see how that plays out. I would say, interestingly enough, I'm going to go with France. Now that Hervé Renard is in charge of that group, this could blow up, right? This could be one of those picks that blows up in their face, or it could be something that is incredibly strategic and they get it right. Because the one thing France has lacked all along, at least from the outside looking in, is a quality manager to capitalize on all the talent that is there and to build some chemistry and unity within that French team. We saw what Renard did in Qatar with Saudi Arabia, and I think that this type of manager might be the right pick for France to finally get over that hurdle and lift up a trophy. So I think France is a potential contender to stand in the United States' way. I would still say Germany, although I thought their performances over this international break were a bit lackluster. Still think they've got a great manager, and I think it's really young, talented squad. Again, for those who don't remember, this was a team that pushed England in that Euro final. Could have easily come away with that trophy last summer. I think those are the lead contenders on the outside looking in. You'd have to throw Spain in there. We don't know what Spain is going to be there, if a full team is going to come back into the fray or not, or if it's going to be this newer generation, but they've got tons of talent and quality on that squad. And I think Australia, we've said this before, but when you host, there's a lot of pressure. And what does that do to the psyche of the team? How do they handle that? Well, we just saw them down England 2-0 and give Sarina Wiegman her first loss at the helm of that English national team. So this is a team that has Tony Gustafsson as their manager. He was a previous manager of the United States, assistant to Jill Ellis. This is a guy that knows how to play the U.S. well. And if you watch the game against England, he set them up tactically incredibly well. They sat back, they absorbed pressure, and they played on the counter, and that's how they got their goals. And I think if they keep that unit performing in that way, I think they could surprise. That goes along with the fact that they can hopefully handle the pressure of being the host nation.
Aly, to go back
Who am I leaving out?
No, that's all right. You gave us 3. You said 7, but you gave us 3. So we're gonna.
I can keep going.
No.
Sweet,
3 is good enough.
Okay.
3 is good enough.
Well, you left Brazil out, who in this window tied England at Wembley and beat Germany in Germany. I'm just saying.
Oh my God! Of course it comes back to Brazil.
By the way, Mosse, Brazil is up there. I do. I think they're explosive. They're talented, and again, Pia knows how to play the United States, so I think that bodes well for that talented squad. So I'm going to give you that shot, Mosse.
To go back to the U.S. team for 1 second, we've talked so much earlier in the cycle about the team being in transition and more youthful, and you still have Morgan leading in the attack, Sauerbrunn at the back, now potentially Julie Ertz working her way back into the mix in the midfield. Is that a concession on Vlatko's part that you still kind of need that experienced spine? And with Mallory Swanson getting injured, is there a chance Megan Rapinoe winds up in the starting lineup of this team this summer?
Yeah, I'm not so certain, Mosse, that the spine is necessarily going to reflect all those names you just said when it comes to World Cup time. I don't know that Sauerbrunn will be a starter. I do know that the team relies on her as that experienced vet leader, but that partnership to be determined. I do think that Ertz was incredibly important when she came into those games against Ireland. She got 99 days to get back fully fit, and I think, who cares what her age is? I thought she looked like an important piece this U.S. team if she does get that starting opportunity. Alex Morgan, again, she's been bright in NWSL, so it makes a lot of sense to have those players in there. But if Kat Macario was healthy, would we be having the same conversation? Probably not. So I think this is more of a reflection of not necessarily of Vlatko saying I have to have this experience, but these are the best players available to me right now in terms of performance. And I think that's more an accurate portrayal of what's the decision-making process that Blanco's going through. I don't think Megan Rapinoe will be a starter as a winger, but I've been surprised by decisions before, so we'll see. I do think, though, that this group is really hungry to go get that third title.
All right,
the first ever.
Let's finish it up here and let you go back to your tropical frolicking over there. I'm going to give you my starter in each one of these positions, and you mentioned Katarina. Okay. I mean, let's put her out of the equation right now. If she comes back, that's great, but it's gravy, okay? But let's do this. If the World Cup started tomorrow, okay, and we know the U.S., when they go through a World Cup, they can kind of mix and match and they can platoon and all that. But let's say this was one of your three that can beat the U.S. You got to play your best 11 here. Okay, you just say agree or disagree when I give you the players here in the positions. All right, Alyssa Nair in goal. Agree?
Yes.
Are you really hesitating on this? I mean, you got somebody else? What's happening here? What's going on?
No, I think that is I'm going to give you an agree. But there've been gaffes by all of the goalkeepers. So yes, agreed.
Oh, I'm not saying that this is making us all feel comfortable. I'm just saying that I think that this is what's going to happen. Okay. So okay, all right, hold on.
So it's not my warm blanket.
Okay, got it.
You got a chin stroke from Aly on that one.
Yeah,
you notice that?
Exactly. It was very good. All right, left back, Crystal Dunn.
Agreed.
Okay. All right, now you just talked a little bit about Becky, but Sauerbrunn and Girma in the middle.
Disagree.
Okay, so both of those, or you just agree with both of them, or one of them?
I think if Tierna Davidson continues at her progression, I think she could be partnered alongside Girma, and it would be an inexperienced back line, but I think it could be a fruitful partnership.
Got it. Okay. And then right back, I don't know. Huerta, is there somebody else? What do you think's ultimately going to happen over there?
No, you've got Emily Fox.
Okay. So you think it's going to be Fox?
Yeah, I do.
Okay. All right, cool. Midfield, I got Horan, Ertz, and Lavelle. Agreed. Okay, we're cruising right now. Keep in mind, you got Sullivan, and Mewis, and Korniak, and Sanchez, and others out there that are going to come in. But this is, again, you got to win this game. And then
I kept those in mind.
All right. And then forwards, Sophia Smith, Alex Morgan, and Trinity Rodman. Agreed. Okay, so you're not starting Williams or Thompson or anything like that?
No.
Okay. And then my last question to you before we let you go is what, we disagreed a little bit, but for the most part we agreed. Is that enough to win the World Cup come this summer?
Is that enough? Yes, that is enough.
Is it really? I'm not sure
that is enough. Well, again, when we talk about winning a World Cup, we're not just talking about the squad and leaving the rest up to chance, if you will, right? There's other intangibles that go into that.
Sure.
And so I think when you look at the pathway, the United States has an incredibly friendly pathway. If they don't stumble out of the gates in group stage, I think this is a friendly march into a final.
Wow.
And
okay.
I wouldn't bet against this U.S. team, when you're in that late stages of a tournament.
All right, we were going to end this here, but your biggest fan over here, Mosse, wants to get something in. Hold on.
No, Aly, I just want to say, I hate to say it, but a big X factor in this World Cup is injuries. And you've been talking about this issue in the women's game. Here we are less than 100 days away, and we don't know about Katerina Macario, Alexia Putellas, Beth Mead, and others. And so, I mean, what do you think's behind so many injuries in the women's game? And I know you're going to be putting together for us a list of the 25 best players at the World Cup, and it's going to be tough because you're going to have to be wading through all these injury situations and figuring out who to include and who to not include.
Yeah, and Vivian Miedema, another one. It's funny, when we started to think about building on that 25, I said, let's put the brakes on because we don't know who's going to be healthy come World Cup time, and we've seen players go down. I think the more demanding schedule, this is replicating a bit of what we see on the men's side, and I do think that that's taking its toll on all these women's players. They are playing at an incredible pace, cadence, and in terms of fixtures, I mean, they're stacking up. So this, again, is something that the women's football side has to navigate, I think, as we progress, relative to the men's. So I think that's part of it. Sam Kerr, I mean, she had to sit out that first game in this international window because she had a string of games with Chelsea, and she needed to get fully fit before their game against England. Paid off. She had a goal and assist. So I think that's part of it, Mosse. And so we don't know who's going to be healthy, fully fit World Cup time. And I think you're right that is going to be a key piece to who makes a deep run and who has the depth to actually go the distance. So with the U.S. losing Mallory Swanson, big hit. Can Ertz stay healthy? Can Morgan stay healthy? Those are questions that Blanca would like to have a crystal ball on now, so we can prepare accordingly.
All right. Well, listen, I think that this summer, this is going to be the biggest and best Women's World Cup that we have ever seen for a number of different reasons, not the least of which is the great Aly Wagner and everything that she does for us on camera and off camera. It's always a privilege and pleasure to work with you. Congratulations again, by the way. I know I bust your chops every once in a while, but you've done something really, really good for American soccer, and that deserves to be praised and highlighted with what you're doing with the expansion team up there in the Bay Area with the NWSL and your continued work and everything that you do. So you deserve a little break. So go and relax with you and your family and whatever you're doing, and then get back to work, because we got ourselves a big summer, and you got yourself a couple of years here where you're going to be working, I'm sure, day and night to get this thing, and we cannot wait to see it. So thank you so much, Aly. Anything to say before you go to the people that love you out here?
No, I just want to say thank you. I really appreciate that, because in this whole process, I think as an athlete, you guys know this, as an athlete, then as a broadcaster, you're a bit self-focused. And I think the most rewarding part of this journey has been that this is not about me. This is not about our group. This is about the game. This is about the women. And we want to set up an incredible environment for them to go realize their best self. And I think that's been the most rewarding part of this journey is doing something that hopefully is a lasting legacy and not just changes American sport, women's football in the United States, but changes sport globally. And so that's the goal, that's the vision, and hopefully it is as rewarding down the line as it's been to this point.
All right, go take a swim in that pool, Aly, and we will see you back here, and of course we will see you this summer. Love you, my friend. See ya.